Welcome back, everyone, to the Catalyst Pharmacy podcast. This episode, we have Barry Klein with Klein's Pharmacy, multi-site owner, giving his perspective on, hey, what should we be looking for? A little bit of an unknown, at least it was unknown to me, the kind of a Optum true-up that's going to start happening in August with certain PSO, I'll say members. So it's like if you're curious about it, reach out to your PSO. It may not be maybe a non-issue for you, it may not be, but like he talked about that. Also like what they're doing, what levers they're pulling going into fall. They're dealing with an influx of patients from some of these store closures, which is a good place to be in, especially if you're, just helping your community. But strategies around that, and then also a little bit of 340B and legislative updates. So we'll take you there now. Thank you. For everyone here, we have Barry Klein with Klein's Pharmacy. He is the owner, president, CEO, chief coffee maker of Klein Pharmacy in Ohio. Man, how you doing?
Doing well, Mark. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So I like to try to get for the youngins, it'd be a vibe check, but how you're feeling, like a sentiment check post all the trade shows. The question I've always, I've been like, people have been asking me, I've been asking them around post DIR fee. I guess I'm going to say recoveries and recoupment. It seems like there's a little light at the end of the tunnel. People are still trying to get adjusted, I think, cash flow wise from that perspective, but are starting to see a little bit of a picture now. What's kind of like post all of the shows coming back? You've met with a lot of people probably from there. How are you feeling, like industry wise? Do you feel like we're starting to settle a little bit, or obviously that doesn't mean we can't keep fighting for legislation and all of that, but how are you feeling there?
Boy, that's a tough one today.
I know.
So yesterday we had our group meeting and we discussed 2021 Optum true-ups.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Say more.
So so the fun keeps coming. That's going to start on August 8th. So a week from today, August 1st, they're going to start collecting that true-up.
Okay. So 2021 Optum true-ups, basically DIR fees for the most part, GER, DER kind of stuff?
Correct.
Okay. Thought we were out of the woodwork a little bit. Not to bring the room down, everyone. But
yeah, no kidding.
Man, okay. All right. So can elaborate a little more. Was that a known quantity all year? Is that because it just quite didn't get the headlines that the CVS one did, and things like that. So is that kind of a known quantity, a little bit of a surprise to the industry, or certain pockets and certain regions or patient mixes?
Well, it's PSAO related.
Okay.
So our PSO, it's been a known entity for 4 or 5 months at this point in time.
Okay.
So, and they worked with Optum to delay it so that it didn't happen while we were still getting hit.
Right.
With the final trimester from CVS Caremark.
Got it. All right. So, how long does that one go? How long does that one go through? Like everyone had the date pinned for the CVS one. When's the last? Do you know when the last one for that one is?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know if they're going to do it in one big fall swoop or going to do it over a few.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well,
so you asked.
I did. I asked. That's my fault. But that. I think the industry wants to know. If anybody who's watching, we have listeners that watch. They might be in the same PSO to go, oh, I'm going to go ask that question. Am I affected? I bet there's some people that maybe not even. Right. You just get inundated with communications all the time. So you may not have seen it. You may not have read it. Check your contract. Check with your PSO. See if you're affected from that perspective. Right. Okay, cool. Well, TBD. After that, then we'll pin that for the next time you're on episode, the 5th time Barry's on. We'll ask that. We'll get another update for that one.
These are aging me quickly too, Mark.
No, not at all. You're one of the very first, podcast podcast episodes we did, like probably within the first 5. So appreciate you being back on. The other piece that I was going to talk to is just like after all the trade shows, kind of post post that, I'm trying to get a feel for what people are doing like in the next 6, right? So the first 6 was in the bag, first 6 months in the bag. Everyone went through the CVS piece too. It looks like there's certain pockets of PSAOs now that have maybe some other stuff to do with Optum as well to get through those. What is Klein's Pharmacy and the group you work with? I guess you get a lot of different perspectives, not just yours. In the next 6 months, what are you working with? What are you working on inside the 4 walls of the pharmacy to make sure you're having the good rest of the year ready for the Optum stuff too?
Yeah. So the first thing that is most time sensitive right now in the state of Ohio and Michigan, Rite Aid announced they were closing all the locations.
Okay.
So the location closest to us, which it's still about 15, 20 minutes away, is closing August 7th. So we're working diligently trying to get those patients re-pharmacy and hopefully move them to Klein's before they transfer. So that's our goal. That's very time sensitive right now. The other rumor that we're hearing, Walgreens is looking to close, significant number of stores, and it'll be a telltale sign where they transfer these Rite Aid prescriptions. If it's the closest one, and if it's not the closest one, that means that closest one could be on the chopping block.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. So you're getting ready for an influx then.
That's the hope.
Or going through it, really, probably a little bit right now, I imagine, right?
Yeah, it's starting to happen. So, and with that being said, it's operational efficiencies. How do we do things stronger, faster, better is the way I like to say. So we're constantly working on how do we improve operational efficiencies.
Got it. What about, is there any, I don't know. I don't mean to sound cruel, or too profit driven. Is there an element of filtering the right patient mix out of something like that? And I know I'm asking someone who probably puts community over everything, probably for the most part, that serves their community. Is there a little bit of factoring in you got to do when it comes to, like, we're just talking to some other folks, and it's like, man, sometimes I can't take them all. Just the mix is too bad.
Right. So we're evaluating that. One of the conversations is, unfortunately, the reimbursement for GLP-1s is not good. So first thing is it a MedSync patient? Are we putting that patient on MedSync?
Okay.
If not, why not? And if they're on MedSync, how many meds are we filling? If we're only filling GLP-1s, we're going to have a serious conversation with that patient saying, we need to bring all your prescriptions over. We're no longer going to be able to take care of you.
Yeah, or rehome you in some way. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's just not the margin there, and it throws off the mix too, usually with buying relationships in general. So, okay, cool. With that, with an influx and a lot of, like, I know you're saying like hyper efficiencies, things like that. Man, we're working on some AI stuff with intake, which is going to be really cool. I think I don't mean to be dropping stuff like that, but Josh already talked about it on another one, so I feel like I'm good. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be ready for you to. It'll be a long ways ready for you to help you with this. But like I was thinking about the staff and the culture too, like in the pharmacy itself. When you're talking about, hey, look, you're dealing with some frustrated patients, probably, right? You're dealing with an influx of them all at once. I know y'all deal with transfers all the time into Klein's, but is there a little bit of a powwow you have to get with the team and the group about, like, hey, look, this is how we're handling it. This is how I want you to think about the patients. Remember X, Y, Z. So what's your approach to that even with your own staff and remembering these folks?
Well, it's you mentioned it earlier, is, we're part of the community. So our feeling or saying is always take care of a patient like it was your own family member. So provide that level of care that if it was your mom or dad, your grandparent, that if they had questions, you would be patient and kind and have that conversation with those patients. Got
it. Heading into, so the nice thing is from there, like from that influx, there's also an opportunity for the clinical services side of the business. I imagine there's, hey, look, you're kind of rolling into flu season, right there on the early cusp of it. Looking at efficiencies from obviously getting the patient onboarded on the clients, but then putting programs in place around clinical services in general?
Right. Yeah, one of our initiatives with our traditional pharmacy that has compounding is, we started semaglutide sublingual. So we have a weight loss program that we're doing. And the pharmacist checks in with the patient at least monthly and gets a progress report on how they're doing, how they're managing, are they achieving goal that they've established for their weight loss. And it's been very promising. Right now, we're about 70 plus patients, and we're continuing to grow that.
Okay, can we dive into that program a little more? I know that's been a toe a lot of folks are trying to figure out. Do I dip into? And then are there just resources for someone to help, like just get started, learn more, educate? Can you tell me kind of the journey you went on or your staff went on to get a program even off the ground?
Yeah, so we've been a member for PCCA since I was in high school.
It's like 10, 12 years ago. Yeah, 10, 12 years ago.
So we utilize that resource quite a bit as far as learning more. And as it continues to evolve, we get more information. We network with other pharmacy providers in our area. What are they doing? What are they having being successful with their weight loss program? How did they structure it from a standpoint of, what type of supplements are they recommending? Are there any additional supplements that they're recommending? Nutritionists, et cetera.
Okay. So if you're not a member of PCCA, there's probably other, like, use your network. Obviously if you're a member of PCCA, you probably got great resources from that perspective. But if you're not one, use your network is what it sounds like I hear. Okay. Going into, let's talk a little bit about flu, COVID. By the way, like, COVID's kind of running a little rampant. Not at least in my world, in my neck of the woods, and in my network, and getting ready for flu as well. What do you think? How are you thinking about that? How are you preparing for that?
We've got flu clinics teed up already. The big wild card that we're wrestling with is, when's the COVID vaccine going to be available? So once again, back to efficiencies, we'd love to be able to do the flu and COVID at the same time at a vaccine clinic. We have quite a few off-site clinics scheduled for this season. So that's what we're going to be working on. And hopefully we can do it at one stop. If not, we'll follow up with those off-site clinics and go back and do their COVID vaccine.
Right. I feel like you always have a firm grasp on, one, your community, but two, I feel like you've got good relationships among, like, employers, clinics, you name it, like, it's kind of there. How are you positioning a little bit, you and your pharmacy, with employers or other clinics that need help? Because I do feel like there's a untapped resource a little bit at times in some of these communities where there's like, I just either don't know how to go about it. They're newer to it. Like, just having those conversations with employers. How do you approach what is your approach a little bit with employers and those relationships and conversations?
First of all, it definitely is about relationships. A lot of times it's just asking.
Yeah.
Where we've had some of the biggest success is just talking to local school districts. And we come on site and do your vaccines for your employees. Is doing your students a possibility? We've had tremendous success with that. If you can identify your self-insured, they're usually a little bit more motivated to keep their staff healthy. That's been very successful. So, and we just keep trying to grow that each year. Have this many employers. Next year, we want to double that number of employers.
So it sounds like one, make it a mindful goal, track it, or you won't probably march to it. But then two, you got to get out. It sounds like you got to get out in the community. You got to talk to people, learn to identify those that are self-funded. That makes total sense. Is some of that just being, hey, look, I'm easy to work with. We just had someone kind of talk to. I talked to it, like, part of their success was like, I just tried to highlight how easy I am to work with. Can I send you a bill? Yes, I can send you a bill. All of those things. Will I submit everything? Absolutely.
Right. a lot of times it's just making the offer. Hey, do you have more than 50 employees? We'd love to come out and do a vaccine clinic for you.
Yeah.
That's all it takes a lot of times.
Nice. That was also like, yeah, it was Kyle that said that. Sorry, I was like getting my podcast fixed up. He was like, hey, here's an advantage you have over Walgreens and CVS right now. They don't do those clinics. It's just like, right. They just don't.
And that's very true. A lot of them were being done by the chains and they've stopped doing them. Mm-hmm. So there's an unmet need right now.
Yep. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I guess, yeah. So we're all waiting on COVID. I see that. The other thing I was trying to think through in the four walls of the pharmacy, as everyone kind of like, this is the gear I feel like everybody's trying to get as efficient as possible, right staff, right labor profile, all of those things. What are some of the, I was going to ask, what are some of the thoughts y'all have had around, you called it bigger, faster, stronger. What are some of the things you're looking at that y'all found like here's some places we can cut? I wouldn't call it hours or anything like that, but I would just like increase productivity. Because you're going to have to try to do more with the same amount of people you're going to get, especially when you're dealing with these influxes from closures.
Right. It's just, how can we leverage the technology?
Mm-hmm. Sync probably too. Yep.
Oh, and that's where I was going to go next was our sync program. We're hovering right around 40%. We want to get it north of 50%. So just as I mentioned earlier about, we're looking at it from an inventory standpoint to start with. Okay, what are our high dollar inventory items? We exclude cycle counts from our inventory. So if we get these patients on MedSync, that'll reduce our inventory.
Right.
So that's our first pass at it. Then our next pass is priority meds. What patients that are on priority meds that are not on sync? Let's get them going.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So you're kind of like anchoring, you're going, hey, look, how can we lower inventory? Because that's, from a cash flow perspective in this business, there's two really big levers. It's usually labor, and the biggest lever being inventory, and are you doing it really, really efficiently?
Right.
So you're going, hey, look, guys, like look at anybody getting a really high cost brand, put them on sync. Even if it's just one drug, is that kind of how you feel about it? Even if it's just one drug?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And then that one drug, is that one drug just a GLP-1?
Yeah. Put a filter on it. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So that's how we're looking at it.
Okay. All right. All right. So that's a little bit of the inside the pharmacy at Klein's. Let's talk about a little bit outside the pharmacy too. We kind of did that with employers. I saw, and I don't know if you've probably already read it and can recite it to me. The HR 9096, the new legislation being proposed for like a NADAC++. I just wanted to understand like how the group, who you're talking to, or state things happening in Ohio, and around in the surrounding area. How are you looking at the rest of the year?
We're very fortunate in Ohio. Granted, we went through some pain.
Yeah, a lot.
Managed care Medicaid went to NADAC, Ohio Average Acquisition Cost model with a tiered dispensing fee. So our reimbursement is very predictable, and we understand what it is. And if we are buying a product not at NADAC with the technology of Pioneer, we can look at why not? What are those items? And we need to go out there and source those items better. So we use that technology, that information to be smarter with our business practices. The other ones, as far as it's going to be interesting with the NADAC Plus model, if it gets any traction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, before this call, I was reviewing some ESI reimbursement, and we were having brand reimbursement fluctuating 3% from June to July.
Huh.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, especially in lower of logic, if there is any lower of logic built into it, right? Like, I noticed, I saw, and it'd be interesting to get like Jolly's take or somebody, but like I did see where it looks like someone submitted a bunch of NADAC data, pulled back a bunch of NADAC data. I'm not sure which chain it was or what large chain it was. I don't know if that was a proof point to see how it could be manipulated or not. I really don't know what happened there, but I do think it did affect reimbursement in some of those areas for some of these independent pharmacies.
Right. And what information we gleaned and was presented to us was that actually it was a net benefit.
Okay.
Because independents usually buy brands better than the chains and generics not as well.
Not as well.
So the net of it was because of the increased reimbursement we saw on brand, we were actually a little bit further ahead.
So it's a little probably mix driven by mix. You
Right.
were on the winning side of that mix piece there. Someone who was maybe all generics, probably not as much maybe.
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. So we're monitoring that too. Obviously we're all hoping something can get pushed, something can get passed in the lame duck session after the election. So we'll see. TBD there, I guess. It'll be interesting to see. I really just really hope something gets done. I'll just tell everybody, like, go look at NCPA, go look at your state associations, get active, get involved, understand what they're doing, so that you can try to figure out where you could put the screws to try to help them a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the House Oversight Committee meeting was very powerful.
Yeah.
That it was very, very bipartisan.
Yeah, it was. As much as I'm pro independent pharmacy, I tried to be like, is this a fairly, I guess, a objective view at this?
Right. But the next proof is in the pudding. Is anything going to change? Or is it's going to be whack-a-mole? They change this and something else pops up.
Yeah. You better. Yeah. If whatever we do, let's hope we can close all the loopholes around it, in some way. Okay. The other part too that I guess I was going to talk through with you a little bit is what we've looked at with other like levers for margin and profit. I know it sounds like you've got a weight loss program going. Obviously, you're always doing flu and vaccine. You're always doing clinical services. What other things, like I've been asking everybody a little bit, what other things are you looking at to layer on, either like more same cart sales or more same cart services, right? From that perspective, it also like there's 340B relationships. People have talked about a little bit with that to go, oh man, that feels like that's going away. But everyone else I talk to who's doing it and doing it well is be like, no, I feel like as long as you're working closely with your entity, everything seems to be fine. But I was just going to get your take on a couple of those things, like either from a profit levers perspective that you guys are pulling on a little bit, or you see people pulling on a little bit that's helping. But then two, a little bit of the 340B conversation / update from Mr. Berry.
As far as levers, we have another business that we do adherence packaging.
Yep.
And the average patient is on 9.6 meds.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty significant, but we also understand we bring quite a bit of value to those patients because we're helping them manage their medications more effectively. And they're multiple disease state patients, so complicated therapies. So, and with that being closed door, we have some opportunity for some increased revenue based on third-party contracts and place of service. So that's one that we've been doing. Medical at home's been a buzzword for quite a long time. We haven't seen it to the level that we were hoping at this point in time, but there's definitely been progress toward higher reimbursement for medical at home.
So you're tapping into some LTC level reimbursement for. I don't. Is that a way to? Say you're a one store owner. If you have enough patients aged into it, you could probably get credentialed and do all that inside one store. I know you've got some scale. You're definitely a multi-store owner from that perspective. But like I do feel like even for your one store owner, it's viable. It's something that I see a lot of folks doing just in general for usually with Jerry Med or something like that from that perspective.
Right. And that's how we started. We started, as a combo shop, ran it through one location and it just grew so much. At that point in time, it made sense to go full closed door with it.
So is that just all like relationships with the patients, or did it start with patients and services into like facilities as well? Did it kind of grow organically that way as people aged in and moved into places? Or was it more like, hey, I think we got a little bit of a business here and let's go talk about it around town?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
Our initial focus was in the severe mental health space. We started in the early 90s with clozapine.
That's right.
Clozaril, when it required blood work. One of the things we quickly identified was medication adherence was a problem for these patients. So we started there, saw some progress with it. We got involved in developmentally disabled group homes. Once again, helping them manage their meds effectively was very beneficial. And then it just kind of started growing from there. There were other group homes that had the need because our competitors were trying to put the square peg in a round hole. And you mentioned earlier, we can be a little bit more nimble, a little bit more flexible and meet their needs and not the other way around. So it just continued to grow. Providers started to see the value of it, started recommending it. Patients recommended it. So right now we have about 1,800 patients that we take care of every month with adherence packaging.
Wow. And you heard that. And you heard his other number before that, 9.62. That's nice. That's good throughput. It's a lot of efficiency. I'm assuming you're multi-dose strip packaging with that, or?
Yeah, we have SynMed automation.
Okay. You use SynMed.
Right. Because it gives us the flexibility to do multiple different card types, which was valuable.
Yeah. Patients seem to really adopt that. A lot of people with that and SynMed too. Seeing a lot more of them, just in general. Okay, cool. That's just I was trying to think through the different levers that you're pulling on with that. Any update in the 340B space? I feel like that's gotten quieter. I feel like I know for a little while it was manufacturers were pushing back a little bit on contract pharmacy relationships and things like that, but it doesn't seem to be as much. I guess I feel like it's in a little more of a steady state nowadays, unless I'm completely wrong. I do think someone's trying to pass some legislation, I think, around it to help protect it, but.
Right. And a lot of states have passed legislation to protect the contract pharmacies. So it varies by state as far as that's going. There's definitely some federal legislation out there right now. And there's two different sides to it. Everybody wants transparency. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. It could be good or it could be bad.
Yeah. Depends on who's writing it. Yeah.
And that's the concern.
Yep.
So, and then the other little wrinkle that nobody knows yet is IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah. Talk more about that.
How is that going to play into with your traditional pharmacy, and then B, 340B. So it's the same argument you have with 340B is duplicate discount. Now you have it with those retail patients that are Medicare. So how's that going to get facilitated? As far as I know, nobody has those answers yet.
I don't think anyone does. Yeah, I agree with you. Everyone I asked that seems like they could know, they're like, it's not decided. Still not decided.
Right. So that's a big unknown, both, like I said, for traditional retail pharmacy and for 340B, because it could have a wrinkle into 340B that's disruptive.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is super true. I'll make sure. So in the show notes, so we always put some links in the show notes about kind of the stuff we talk about. One, we'll put in HR 9096 again for that one, just because we mentioned it. But that we'll find the link that kind of at least somewhat projects what they think is the impact of, I'm over here talking to Kevin. We'll make sure that link gets put in the show notes that talks about kind of the impact, or at least the projected impact of the Inflation Reduction Act, especially leading into next year.
Right.
Someone wrote that. I remember that. I've got that link saved. We'll make sure we put it in the show notes.
And I think the biggest change we're going to see in 2025 is what's going to happen with Med D premiums. So my understanding is open enrollment is going to be extremely critical this year.
Do you help patients with that? Do y'all help patients with that, or?
We don't.
Okay.
We are going to be working with a broker to help facilitate that and make sure that hey, we're looking out for the patient's best interest and getting them in the right program.
Right. Yeah. I feel like more folks are looking at steering I wouldn't even call it steering, but just make sure we're guiding the patient to the right plan for them. Cause it just kind of seems like agreed about that. I do think premiums it'll be interesting. I'm with you. Like the next 2 years worth of data around premiums, you're already seeing more medical loss ratios and all of the insurers kind of taking a little bit of hit on, I would just say government funded programs just in general. You see like, so I read stock reports to a degree. I try to read 10Qs or 8Qs or 8Ks or whatever they're called in general, but I've seen some of them take some hits that have a heavy density in government funded programs, whether it be Medicaid or Medicare. And they seem to be like a little bit of medical loss ratio is spiking, which I interpret as, next year patients are going to feel it probably.
Correct.
Okay.
So
good thing to keep an eye out on. Okay. Well, man, I think I'm getting a little bit of the notification we're running into time, but that's fine.
I don't feel like I've given anything uplifting though here, Mark.
I just did not have the pulse on the Optum thing. That's how I did not know that. So it's probably a big chunk of that. No, that's where the state is. But the good news is everyone's fighting. Like if you want to leave on an uplifting note, like I've never seen you were there. At all of the fly-ins and things like that, everybody's fighting. Everybody's trying to move this boulder up this mountain. So for one thing, the group never seen the industry more united from my perspective.
Yeah, people at least, I don't want to get carried away, but PBM is at least a known term now.
Uh-huh.
Before it was, you'd mentioned PBM and they had no idea, no concept.
Yeah. And I know no one likes to see the closures across the country in general, but you're seeing it both on the independent community side a little bit, but also even the big chains are having to figure out their store footprint profiles and things like that. So, it's getting attention from the FTC. It's getting attention from the right people. So if anything, like I know that like this year is probably tough, one of the tougher years for sure, with people going through and organizations going through figuring out DIR and getting rid of it in some way. It's not all gone. Let's be real. That's the one thing I try to tell everybody. It doesn't mean it's all gone. There's still GER and BER and some of these commercial contracts too. That's
the point with the DIR being at point of sale. At least we can make a business decision at point of sale.
Yeah.
But then you throw that wrinkle in of BER, GERs, and they're taking money back from 2021.
I know. It just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't. But it's going to take probably some litigious efforts, really. Like we're seeing some lawsuits get won, which is good. We're seeing some legislation get happening. So if you're going to leave on a positive note, that's a good thing. That part is good. The industry's united. And more people just other than pharmacists understand what's happening now. You're seeing pharmacy deserts be created a little bit, and that's getting the attention of legislators. Right. And patients and providers, you name it. So we're going to have to use it. Is the way I see it. So,
and it's unfortunate that after what community pharmacy did for COVID,
I know.
It seemed like it was pretty quickly forgotten.
Yeah, you guys, and yeah, I remember you were one of the first people we had on talking about it. You guys so delivered for your community in general.
And we were waiting on vaccine. We were ready to go a month before we could get vaccine, and that was frustrating.
Yeah. I remember those efforts. You're so right to go from like probably I wouldn't say I'm going to say it, the main hero of like getting folks vaccinated in the country and getting out of this pandemic and getting into a new normal. Haven't said that word in a while, but yeah, to go okay. Now this is the state. So it's everybody put your gloves back on, you know, put your gloves
Let's go
on.
10 rounds.
Yeah. Everybody put your gloves back on, man. We got a big enemy. We got to go beat up a little bit, just to get something fair really for everybody.
Right.
Well, good stuff.
Sustainable.
Sustainable
in alignment.
That's what it's about. It's about
a novel concept.
Right. And saving pharmacy really is what, I don't mean to be too, I don't know, grand about it, but that's to me what it is that everybody's out there doing. Every time I see somebody going, oh, I went and talked to my local whoever or my state rep or whatever, I'm like, thank you. These are customers I've served that we're trying to do the same thing for. So I think we got some exciting, from our perspective, I think, helping some folks present some really cool data around West Virginia. I probably won't say too much about it, but like helping with specific states, we're trying to work side by side with everybody around that to make sure that they can present the right amount of, I would say, an accurate picture and the right data with the right people to talk to their states in general. So
well, that's exciting to hear.
Yeah. So we're working through that. We get a lot of those requests, but I think we got a cool one coming. Hopefully get some wins out of it. But man, that's the show. So I know a little bit dry. I think we left it on an uplifting note, but I don't want you to leave. All right. So I've got prescribables. I don't let anybody leave now without a prescribable, which is, what are you watching, reading, listening to, or just into right now that you think someone who's listening or watching this could be into? It could be fun. I've got a fun one today. I don't have a work one today. I spent my work one yesterday. And what do you have for us?
Well, for me, we're getting close to football season.
Okay. All right.
So
Barry's Ohio State fan, guys. Just FYI.
Yeah, Ohio State. I'm getting ready for the season.
Okay.
A couple of my guys that I lived with in college were flying out to Oregon, so we're super excited about that. See Ohio State play at Oregon. And then Cleveland Browns. So Cleveland Browns Daily is a podcast.
Oh,
so
really?
Getting the breakdown on how camp's looking, how the season's looking.
Okay. How is it looking for the Browns?
Cautiously optimistic.
Okay. I'll take that. Yeah. That sounds reasonable. I'm in Dallas, everyone, if you don't know. So I try to be a good Cowboys fan. I'm a recovering Cowboys fan is what I call myself all the time. So I don't know. It's another year where we're going to win it all and lose it all again. I don't know. Like, I'm so jaded. I don't know. I sound like a Houston Texans fan, actually. No, sorry. Don't come after me. Don't come. Just kidding, everyone. I think mine is, so I have a fun one today, but what I will put in the notes, again, we'll put the HR 9096 in that. It's just such a topical thing to go read through. We'll put that in the show notes, so you should go read it. So that's one of my prescribables, and we'll put that other link in there that kind of recaps IRA, which is a super smart thing that Barry brought up that everyone should know. So those two things we'll make sure, those are the work-related topics that I'll make sure we'll throw in the show notes. We'll do those. But then mine's been weirdly obscure Olympic sports. In general, I've been watching fencing. I still can't figure out who wins until the judge tells me who wins. I still can't figure it out. Like, so I've been watching fencing. I'm trying to root for Team USA. I don't think we're making it, but it's been fun. And then I've been watching. I think her name is Schnedecki. The super strong.
Ledecky.
Yeah, there you go. She is a fish or a dolphin or something in the water. I just watched her wait. I don't know. It looked like 15 seconds for everyone to get done with this
in the 1500 last night. It was incredible.
I know. I was breathing hard for her after watching it.
I was exhausted when she was done.
Dude, I was like, golly, guys, I need a break. I was. So yeah, I've watched that. I've watched them. I've watched Team USA basketball a little bit. They seem to be doing pretty good. So I've been watching the Olympics. That's been my stuff. And some of the obscure sports. I watched some badminton. That was fun. It's almost like hockey to me. I can't see the puck. I really can't. So
have you seen any wrestling or weightlifting?
Not yet. No, I have not.
Okay. Because I always enjoy Olympic wrestling. So
that's good too.
When I was growing up, Olympic boxing was huge.
Oh yeah, well, we've had some good boxers come through the Olympics too. But yeah, so we'll see. I've been watching that. Colin Jost is a correspondent as well for the SNL folks like that, so he's always fun. So it's been good. But
in Tahiti, watching the surf.
Yes, you saw it too. Yeah.
Can I sign up for that job?
I'm telling you, I don't think he gets paid. There's no way he gets paid for that job. I hope he shouldn't, in my opinion. But most of those, well, the other thing I didn't realize too is we're just going to stay on this for a little bit is like some of these folks don't have sponsors at all. And so, cause I saw somewhere where I don't know if it was a rapper like Flavor Flav or somebody like that was sponsoring the women's water polo team because otherwise they all got to keep full-time jobs just to keep their living expenses taken care of, to be like literally taking the gold. Almost the same way like some of the winter stuff that we saw.
It's a commitment to train at that level is unbelievable.
Yeah, and to see how many, like you forget, like all the time, like we're used to watching, like at least I am used to watching basketball, football, baseball. All those guys are paid so well, they don't have to do anything but those things. And you got this whole, like 98% of the rest of the Olympic sports and athletes all have regular gigs for the most part, just because they can't. So, but anyway.
I'm going to throw another one out at you real quick. Speaking about sports.
Let's do it.
On Netflix, Beckham. Did you watch that?
I did. Are you talking about the documentary with?
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Incredible, because we're used to our football, baseball, basketball stars.
Yeah.
In Europe, soccer is another level.
It really was. I did not realize how crazy and like just how crazy popular he really was. I didn't have a grasp of it. He was like Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan times 2, basically.
Just hard to imagine.
Which is crazy to think about, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then what he had to deal with just to like, could you like saw like episodes of the paparazzi? I'm like you wouldn't want it. Of course, he's somebody you'd want to take a photo of. I'm usually not.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah, I don't have that problem either at all. No one's snapping pics of me. So, but, well, good stuff, Barry. Well, Barry, thanks for being on, man. I appreciate you doing this with us, spending your time. I know you've got a lot going on you're about to have a wave of patients knocking on your pharmacy's door that you guys are ready to serve. So I appreciate you taking an hour-ish out of your day to chat with us about what's going on in your world and what we should be looking at.
I appreciate it, Mark. I always learn a great deal from you. So anytime chance to chat with you, it's always good.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care.